A website is an essential tool in marketing your photography business in this day and age. They are a great way to create an online presence that is not affected by the unending algorithm changes like social media is. Websites also allow you to showcase your wedding and portrait photography and provide potential clients with a visual representation of the work and experience you offer your clients. However, many photographers struggle designing their website. They don't know what to say, and more often than not, creating and designing their very own website can feel like a never-ending drain on their time and many times their sanity. That's precisely why today I am thrilled to share a recent website review that was recorded live. In this recording, you'll see me review fellow photographers Dustin and Laura from D&L Photography. We cover topics such as the benefit of the choose your own adventure style websites, the importance of having one designated page for each and every niche that you photograph, simple tips to increase your SEO, and the best ways to build an email list from your website, and so much more. So go ahead, listen in, and learn.
Hey guys, Heather here. I am trying again to do this video. If you didn't catch my messages from earlier, I have actually been trying to go live in our group. I've tried twice already, but for whatever reason, Facebook is actually deleting my lives within a few minutes of me going live, and I have no idea why. So I am actually currently recording this on Zoom, and then hopefully that will work, and I will be uploading the video to our Facebook group as soon as this is done. So let's just go ahead and dive on into what we're going to be talking about today, which is all about websites. So the other day I created this post just basically, wanting to do a live website review. I know our websites as photographers are very, very important. And it's kind of like our storehouse. It's our online store of like what we offer our clientele. So it's very, very important that we create a website that is super enticing, draws in our ideal clients, and really converts the visitors into inquiries. So I had so many of you, which I'm so glad about. So many of you posted your URLs for a website review, and I cannot go over all of them at this particular time, but I did actually look at a good number of these. And so the good news is that what I'm going to be sharing in this live website review actually applies to a lot of the websites that were already listed. So even if I don't choose yours, still listen in, because you can take what I'm saying and tweak it for your particular website. So we're going to actually go over D&L Photography. This is Dustin and Laura. So they are a husband and wife couple who do photography, and you can tell that their work is beautiful. They're a cute couple here. They live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they have a beautiful website. So I'm going to go ahead and go over theirs for the time being. But again, as I mentioned already, definitely listen in, even though if you're not Dustin or Laura, still listen in, because this will still be valuable. Okay, so let's kind of get into it. There's 3 to 4 things that I want to share with you in regards to a website specifically. So clearly, Dustin and Laura have a beautiful website. Their images are clean and classy, beautiful edits, beautiful layouts, easy to read. So they have a lot of good things going for them. With that being said, though, I actually do have a couple of recommendations that they can take or not take. You can do what you want with this. But basically, I have a few recommendations that I think will kind of take your website to that next level. First one, and this is honestly, guys, this is, I'm going to say this is for the majority of those of you who shared your URL link. This is something that every single one of you can apply in your business. So this is specifically for photographers who photograph multiple different niches. So if you do weddings and seniors and families and newborns or boudoir, and if you photograph different things, this is for you. It's totally cool if you photograph different things. I do in my business. I have been doing it for the last decade. There's nothing wrong with photographing different genres, but what we need to do when it comes to creating our website is making it super clear and specific as far as which genre, which niche we're actually going for. And so one of the best ways that I have found that we can do this is by creating what's called a splash page. And the splash page is the very first page on your website, and basically it would just be like your URL. And so in this particular case with Dustin and Laura, they photograph weddings, they also photograph families, and then you also saw the newborn session as well. So what I would recommend is creating a splash page, and that means they would have like an image over here of like a wedding client, they would have another image of a family client, and then another image for newborns. And then basically they say, hey, for brides, or if you're getting married, click here. And then for the families, it could say family portraits, click here. Or if you're an expecting mom, click here. And then basically wherever that visitor clicks, they're going to go to a page that is specifically geared toward that particular client, to that particular bride, or that particular, maternity client, that particular mom of, a family of four, whatever it is. And so I don't know if you guys remember this, but way back in the day when I was a kid, I actually used to really enjoy reading the choose your own adventure kind of books. And basically, if you're not sure what they are, basically you got to choose, what would happen in this story. So it would kind of give you a scenario, and it would say, or the character would say like, hey, if you want to, go down this path, or if you want to hop in the car, or do this or do that, go to page, 32. If you want to do this other thing, go to page 76, whatever it was. And so basically the reader got to choose their own adventure. And so we're basically taking that same kind of premise and allowing our website visitor to choose their own experience. And what's so important with doing this, and there's a few different reasons, and I'm just going to name off the first few, is that your website visitors or your clients, they and people in general, they really only care about what affects them, right? That's just human nature. So we don't really want to shuffle through or go through all the things that don't necessarily apply to us. So instead of sitting here and watching a slideshow, however beautiful those images are, but instead of sitting here and watching a slideshow, waiting for an image to pop up to make sure, oh yeah, she does or they do family photography, or they do newborn photography, they see it as soon as that page loads up. Hey, okay, they see the image of the bride and groom, or they see the image of the family, or they see the image of the newborn, and they can go right there, not waste any time, and get to the specific page that they need to, with little resistance, with like honestly no resistance, because you make it so obvious and clear to them. So that's what's considered a splash page. I have had one in my business for a long time, and I highly recommend it because, like, so many of you, I photograph different niches as well. So it's super important to have. So that's really the only thing that would be on the splash page, would be the options or the niches that you actually photograph. And then basically just saying, hey, click here for weddings, or click here for families, click here for newborns. And then basically the next page, so let's just say they click on weddings, the next page would have a URL like this, which, dnlphotography.com/weddings, or it might say newborns. And then so when they click on that page, every single bit of information for that particular niche is on that page. So that means the experience for newborns. Oh, I didn't even spell newborns right. Let me do that. The experience for newborns, the pricing for newborns, the copy and what you say to connect with that new mom, all of that is on that specific page because you're speaking to that specific client. I cannot tell you how important this is and how much this makes a difference in whether or not people choose to hire you. Just real quick, I want to share a story with you guys, a real life example. I did not realize how important this is until I was actually the one purchasing a photography session. But many years ago, my family and I, we were going on a vacation to, out of state. And so I wasn't familiar with any photographers in the state that we were traveling to, but I wanted to have updated family portraits while we were on vacation. So, weeks before, I think it was actually a couple of months before we headed out for our vacation, I hopped on Google and tried to do some searches for some local photographers in the area we were traveling to. And that's when I honestly, I realized just how important having a splash page is, because I would found these, photographers who were so talented, like their work was absolutely beautiful, and I wanted to hire them, but their website was so confusing. They made it too difficult for me to navigate. So like they were basically sharing all their pricing for all their weddings, their boudoirs, their mini sessions, their family photography, all on one page, and everything was just so jumbled up. And me, as a prospective client who just wanted family client or family photos done, I had no interest in like learning about their wedding photography. I had zero interest in learning about their newborn photography. I just wanted what was applicable to me when I would be hiring them. And it was too difficult for me to navigate. I had to keep clicking back and forth on all their pages, trying to, read, like scroll and read through the things that were actually relevant to me. And honestly, it was too difficult. And there were numerous websites of photographers whom I wanted to hire, but I didn't because it was just too much work to figure out what to do on like their website and where to go. So this is like the other thing to mention too, like when we create our websites, we want to make it as simple as possible for our clients. Like we do not want them doing any work. And by work, I mean having them to scroll back up or scroll down, click up here to find, pricing information for, both the weddings or weddings, portraits, and newborns, or click back here to see their portfolio. Like that is way too much work to have them go through all of those different things. And if a bride, let's just say it's a bride, she doesn't care about, the newborn stuff, or if it's a new mom, like she doesn't want to click on all these things she might come here, she might scroll down to like see the weddings. Oh, like that's not for me. And so she clicks off. So really, we just want to make sure we have designated pages for every niche we photograph. So back to my example up here with like a backslash newborn or backslash weddings, backslash whatever kind of photography you do, this particular page would have a blurb specifically to that mom who is expecting. And then they would have pictures specifically about, newborn photography or that niche, and then pricing specifically about that, and testimonials specifically about that. And that way that prevents your visitor from having to jump through all of these different pages, figuring out what they need from you, trying to find the right stuff that's relevant to them. Everything is all on one page, and all they have to do is scroll, which is honestly like when you're trying to book a client, like just the scrolling, just the action of scrolling or scrolling up and clicking, just those little shifts can make a big difference. So that is one of the biggest things that I want to get across in this video, is just the benefits of having again, it's called a splash page, where you allow your website visitor to choose their own adventure. And so on the splash page, you have an image specifically for each niche that you photograph, and they click on that image and it goes to a page that's solely dedicated to that particular page. So along with that, if Dustin and Laura decide to take that route, hold on, before I get there, I wanted to address a few other things that are on their front page here. I love that they have testimonials. Testimonials are something that you need to have every single spot in your website. Anywhere you can have testimonials listed. And so I wanted to like also just reiterate how important they are. And then also too, I would say anytime that we have a collection of words together, it's very important to bold or perhaps use a different color to pull out the most important words or phrases. So like in this example, if we highlight professionalism and maybe we just bold that one, or in this next testimonial, it would be maybe the I'm so impressed phrase is the most important part. And so basically you want to bold or highlight or use a different color the most important pages or the most important phrases or words, because honestly, most people will not like read through every single word on your website. They just won't do it. They don't have time for it. But if you can bold and make certain keywords kind of like pop off, that's going to go a long way. So if somebody is just super like scrolling through, they're not reading everything, those bolded words will catch their attention more, and it's going to make more of an impact. So that's going to be applied, with the testimonial section, any sort of welcome blurb you have, pricing information, anything where you have like, a couple sentences or paragraph or two of actual written content, you want to make sure you're bolding or using a different color for the most important words and phrases for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the portfolio section. I'm purposely skipping the our story section, but just because there's other things that I want to talk about that I think are more relevant. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the portfolio section. And if Dustin and Laura, or if any of you guys decide to use my suggestion of creating a splash page, it's going to take out the need for having a portfolio page, because you won't have to have all your different images all on a single page where they, click through and find. Because again, the URL, like you're going to click on, let's just say the wedding page, and that page will be the only spot that has all of the gorgeous wedding images. And just to kind of like, let's just pretend this is like the wedding page, for example. So if they click on the weddings from the splash page, It's going to have like a beautiful image of a bride and groom, and then like a nice little like welcome message with like saying, you know, hello lovebirds, or hey lovebirds, or, you know, welcome bride to be, something that calls them out, a little bit about maybe like what they're looking for or what like a typical bride goes through. And then you can like a little bit of a blurb about your specific wedding experience from you, what to expect, another beautiful image with some testimonials. Then you scroll down and you get like to the part where you're sharing maybe basic pricing information, and then another testimonial, more images. So basically you intersperse your photography, your portfolio on the designated page of that particular niche. So if you guys decide to do that, it takes out the need for a portfolio page, just in general. And along the same lines, it takes out the need for a package page too, because if I click on packages, you can tell, okay, we have weddings up here, two different options for weddings, then portraits and newborns. So again, if you decide to do a one single page for one niche, this information will be like only on the newborn page. The portraits will only be on, you know, the family page. The weddings obviously will only be on the wedding page. So it will take away the need for this page, because you're going to have that information on the page that it's actually meant for. And then also just a little bit of a side note, I am honestly not a huge fan of the word packages. I think the better word to be used would be like investment or pricing. I prefer investment because I do believe professional wedding professional wedding photography or portraits of any kind is an investment. So I would actually, you know, reword this, or like on the investment section, if you decide to redo that page, you have a section for the actual investment, and you say in like investment options, or, you know, you just have that as a header. So if you decide to, again, just to reiterate, if you decide to do a splash page within a specific URL, it takes away the need for the portfolio pages and also the packages pages, because again, all of that information will be on that particular niche's designated page. So I hope that is making sense, because it's just super important to have. I'm going to skip the mini session page right here, because mini sessions are a whole other beast of a topic. If you guys want more information about mini sessions, or maybe a future video about mini sessions, and hopefully my live would be working by that point in time, let me know. Just comment maybe mini underneath this post, just so I know whether or not that's something that you're interested in, and then we can kind of go from there. But what I do want to like take note of here, and this is going to tie into the blog in just a moment. But basically, if we have this picture, and if I double click or right click on it and click on save image as, and I'm not sure if you guys can see my pop-up, but if you can, or if you can't, it says the save as, the name of this particular image is _V6899908. And so it doesn't necessarily give any information about the video. This is another super important thing, or information about the video. I didn't mean video, information about the photo. This is another super important thing that we want to start including on every single picture that is on our website and also our blog. So if you think about it, Google, where this is hosted, or, you know, the #1 search engine, they have no idea what's in this picture. If we scroll down, this is a cute picture of a little girl and a bunny, super adorable. But if we click save as, it is another series of numbers and letters. And so if we leave it at that, or, you know, if it's IMG, and then like when we take pictures with our camera, and I know it's different depending on the brand you use, but if it's IMG and then a series of numbers afterwards, that doesn't give Google any information about what's in the picture. When we upload pictures just like this, Google has no idea what's in this particular image. And this is where we need to take the extra step and rename our images according to what's in them, where we're located, and the kind of photography that we do. So let me go ahead and give you an example. I'm not really going to say this. I'm just, hopefully you can see the little pop-up. I'm not actually sure, but hopefully you can see that. But basically we would want to say like family, when we want to rename our images, we want to rename it to the kind of photography we do plus the location we are. So maybe it's like family photography, and then they were in, Ohio. I don't recall where. I think it was in Cincinnati, but you put in Cincinnati, or in, you know, Columbus, Ohio, or whatever city, wherever you are, you want to put in the location. So just you put in like the town and also the state. Some of wherever you are, you might have acronyms. So like in my perfect case of this, where I live in Northern Virginia. So that's known as Northern Virginia. So I could type in, family photography in Northern Virginia, but we also have the abbreviation of NOVA. So people will come to Google and they'll type in like Nova family photographer. So we just want to vary up the kind or what we save our images as. We want to change the title of our images, because when we do that, it gives Google information that is going to be very beneficial when we have somebody hopping on Google and trying to find a photographer in our local area. So this is something that you want to go ahead and do, and rename all the images on your website. And then also, this is especially true for the blog too, because that's where we kind of are more adamant, or not necessarily adamant, more consistent in posting new images. Typically for me personally, I have a blog that goes out every single week. I've had that for years in my business. So that kind of like is more the most up to date. And even in my blog, I rename images in my blog. So like, we'll go ahead and click on this one. I don't know if I can click on it because some of the images I couldn't do. There might be, and this one is not working, which is fine, because some websites have it where you cannot click and save a photo. Totally fine. But even if you can't do that, and this one's not doing it, you still want to rename this image to like wedding photographer or wedding photography in, Northern Kentucky. So you want to make sure that you are telling Google what it is that's in the picture, where you're actually located, because then that will help your SEO. Little side note, specifically for wedding photography, if you also rename the images based on the venue as well, that will also help, because a lot of brides, before they are even like, booking a venue or booking a wedding photographer, they will like Google wedding photography at the venue name that they are thinking about, booking for the wedding, or the one that they just booked. And so that's a great way to kind of rank higher in terms of like that particular venue. So just a little side note for all the wedding specific photographers on here. The other thing that I wanted to mention with blog specifically is also the title. Now, again, same thing with SEO, what we've just been talking about with renaming the images. And then also, I don't think I explained what SEO is for those of you who might not know yet, but SEO stands for search engine optimization. And basically, that's a fancy way of saying how high you rank in Google, whether you're on page 1 or page 10. So like if someone types in, your area photographer, or like Austin, Texas newborn photographer, like, do you show up on the first page of Google or not? And so we just talked about how renaming your images will help with that. The other thing that will help with that will also be renaming your title. So people will probably not be like, in new clients will not be searching for like, oh, Paige and Donovan photographer. Like that's just not going to happen. So I recommend renaming all of your blog titles to have like the name of your client short. Obviously that's super important. Then like you can have another little line, or another like continue on the title. I would just have a little colon dividing their name from, and then I would actually have the location or the venue where we actually did the session or the wedding. And then I would have something like my area. So like Northern Virginia, like the larger area, Northern Virginia, wedding photographer or senior photographer. So that kind of gives more weight. It gives you a more of an opportunity to rank higher in Google, which basically just means if somebody searches for a photographer in your area from Google, you have a higher chance of showing up on page 1. So this is so important, specifically for, honestly, with every single image, but also with like specifically with blogging, because ideally it's good to do that, once a week, once every other week, definitely once a month for sure, to keep your blog relevant. And then also it shows Google that you're still active in just maintaining your website and creating new content. So they're going to keep moving you, kind of like a higher ranking in the people who, or the photographers who kind of like create a website and then don't touch it for 4 years. So that is just another kind of tip where Google does rank titles as a higher importance than, other parts in the blog itself. So I think I covered, oh no, one more thing. I wanted to go over the contact page. Contact page is super important to this looks really, really good for me, with the exception of, this is just really hard to read right here, this little section. So I would actually recommend putting like an overlay over the photo, to where like maybe like a white overlay to where like this text kind of pops off the screen more, because it is difficult to read. But other than that, I think the contact page is totally fine. Again, for if you follow the idea for a splash page at the end of every page, like in my case, and at the end of every page, I do also have a contact form. So all they literally have to do is just scroll down to the bottom. They learn more about the experience, learn a little bit more about pricing, and then bam, the contact one of the contact forms is there. They don't have to click anywhere else. They just have to input their information. So that is basically what I got for you right now. Quick little overview, or kind of like summary of what we went over. Oh, wait, just kidding. Pop-up. I did want to talk about pop-ups. So we're almost done. So I love that Dustin and Lauren, or Laura, right? Laura or Lauren? I can't remember. Laura, what was it? Laura, not Lauren, Dustin and Laura. So I'm so glad that they have a pop-up. That's super important. I think it's really smart to be building out your email list and collecting email addresses. Most photographers, unfortunately, only rely on social media. Not to knock social media, it's great. Yes, it's absolutely necessary. Yes, we can get amazing clients and amazing reach and amazing growth using social media. But the thing is that we do not own social media. We all have felt this, I'm sure, at one point or another. And if you haven't yet, you probably will. But the algorithm can change constantly. Every so often they come out with new gimmicks or new tricks and reels and stories. And like, there's always a new thing that you have to learn and kind of like keep up with. And so social media is good, but there's also some negativity with it, in that like it's always changing. The algorithm, you can't ever really bank on it. And then also too, you don't own your Instagram page. You don't own your Facebook page. Those are basically borrowed platforms from Meta. And so if the algorithm changes, like, you're kind of stuck up a creek without a paddle. There's not much you can do about it other than like learn that new strategy and kind of like keep hustling at it. The other thing too is that they can kick you off, or they can close down your account with no warning. That happened to me just a couple of months ago, and I lost over or close to 9,000 followers on Instagram alone, because I was honestly, I was hacked, and it was there one day, gone the next, and I still haven't been able to recover it. And so I share this because even though social media is great, and yes, you absolutely should use it for your business, we cannot rely solely on social media. And that's where building out an email list and actually asking for people to sign up or get whatever it is that you're offering them, that is so beneficial. A couple months ago, when my Instagram was hacked, of course it sucked. Like, I hated it. Like, I spent years growing that, but my business didn't suffer because I've spent also a lot of time, a lot of years growing an email list. So my business didn't suffer at all. I still got bookings. My income didn't dip at all because I was still able to market using my email list. So I highly recommend, if you don't have one yet, creating an email list. This is actually one of the things that we teach inside our mentorship program, is as far as like, how do you actually even create one? And so obviously there's a lot that goes into that. But just real quick, when we're asking people for their name and their email address, it's really important that we give them something of value, something that would entice them to leave their email and like get whatever information. I am personally a fan of offering valuable content to my clients in exchange for their email address. So way back when, this is actually one of the very first things that I created in terms of an email list, is that I created a month by month wedding planning checklist for my bride. So I would say like, hey, like, I had a pop up on my website, and it'd be like, hey, like, if you're interested in getting this month by month wedding planning checklist, obviously they had to give me their name and email. So I gave them something of value. So even if they weren't quite ready to move forward as a wedding, like booking me as their wedding photographer, they still needed that wedding planning checklist. That was super helpful to the season that I would be photographing them in. And so that enticed them to leave their name and their email address. And then I was able to remarket to them, send them, automated emails. It's all part of something that we teach inside of our mentorship. And then, basically close the deal later on after they got to know, like, and trust me through an automated email series. So while I love that Dustin and Laura have a pop-up and it's great, I would recommend changing what you're offering, and not being it like this. And this is also kind of goes back to what we were first talking about, having a splash page, because what you offer them in terms of a value content will not apply to every niche you photograph. So if you like my idea of doing a month-by-month wedding planning checklist, take that and run with it. Create your own version of that for your brides. But that's not going to be helpful for a mom who is pregnant. Like she doesn't need to know how to plan her wedding. Well, unless she's getting married, but typically she doesn't need to know how to plan a wedding. She needs to know how to prepare for her newborn. So the kind of valuable content or the bait that you use to draw somebody in and get their email address will also change depending on who you are photographing, which is another reason why it's important to have a splash page for every niche you photograph. Because let's just say we change this one to the wedding one, and we only like offer a wedding planning checklist, we could have the pop-up only show on the wedding page. For a newborn one, you could do maybe a list of like the top 10 things to have in your nursery or something like that, or anything of value for that ideal client, but that will only show on the newborn specific page, because it's not going to be relevant for the other two niches you photograph in this particular scenario. So that was the last thing that I wanted to mention. So quick little recap. We have the importance of creating a splash page. So you're kind of directing your visitors where to go, not wasting their time, not making them do any work, but you make it super easy for them. When you have that splash page, you basically can get rid of the portfolio page and the package pages, because that information will be earmarked for the, dnlphotography.com/weddings or /newborns. And so you can move that information. So everything that particular person needs is all on one page, and all they have to do is scroll and not do the work of clicking around. And then we also talked about the importance of renaming your images. I think, yes, renaming your images, not having a series of letters and numbers, but renaming your images and also your blog titles so that it reflects the kind of photography you do, plus the location you're in. And then fourth and final, being able to collect email addresses. Let me go ahead and refresh this so you guys can see the pop-up again. I think it will load. Yes, it does. Awesome. So basically a way where you can have people who might not be ready to book you right then and there, but it's a way where you can build out your email list, not solely rely on social media, diversify your marketing efforts, and just honestly just build out an email list where you can continue to build that trust, really, educate them about your experience, really share the value that you offer and that you provide for your clientele, and basically just win the sale. So I hope this was helpful, but if you have questions about any of this, feel free to leave it in the comment section underneath this video. I'm more than happy to answer. And then also too, if you want to go deeper on creating these websites, or creating like, let's just say the email pop-up and creating an automated email flow and marketing via email, or just really anything in terms of business and getting more bookings and making more income with your photography, go ahead and also type in the word mentorship underneath this video as well in the comment section. We have an amazing mentorship program for photographers. We've had hundreds of photographers go through it at this point in time. And so it's really incredible. And honestly, we are just all about helping photographers confidently market to their ideal clients, really create consistent bookings, and then also financial freedom from their photography passion. So that's something that we love to do. We love to teach, and we'd love to share that with you if you want to go deeper. So if that's the case, just go ahead and type in the word mentorship below this video, and myself or somebody on my team will get back to you about what that would actually look like. So anyways, thank you guys so much for your patience in terms of getting this video out to you. I apologize. I have no idea why the lives weren't working for me, but I appreciate your patience, and I hope you enjoy this. So yeah, that's it. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, my friend, I hope you found that website review helpful. As a quick recap, you learned number one, the benefit of the choose your own adventure style websites. Number two, the importance of having one designated page for each and every niche that you photograph. Number three, simple tips to increase your SEO. And number four, the best ways to build an email list from your website. If you'd like even more help creating a website that turns visitors into inquiries and even more easy and fun marketing tips to attract ideal clients, go ahead and connect with my team at www.thebookedphotographer.com/connect and let's get you booked. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Before you go, be sure to share it on social media, tagging The Booked Photographer. And also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that this content rises to the top and you never miss a future video. Thanks so much.